All right, Thomas Barr, good morning to you. How are you?
Not too bad, all good. No complaints so far.
You're looking fit and well.
That's good. I'd want to be, suppose, this time of the year. It's the hard part of the year.
Is it a pain in the hole?
It's tough winter training. I wouldn't go so far as to say it's a pain in the hole, but it's not the easy part of the year. I love the competition when it gets to competitions, but we have to do the hard work at the end of the day.
And so what is hard work for you? Can you explain this? Because no one has a clue, really. We see you run, you jump, you run.
And then I disappear again.
Yeah, pretty much. So
pretty much, yeah. That's what I do, I just disappear. No, so like at the moment, we're doing, it's all the heavy stuff, so like long reps, short recoveries, that kind of stuff, heavy stuff in the gym. We're doing all the hard work now, and all the fine tuning, all the fun stuff comes a lot later in the season.
Is that distance you do, or do you do sets of like?
It'll be sets, yeah. So like the maximum distance we'd run would be, say, 600 metres on the track.
Okay.
And the maximum I would run is a 20-minute run. That's the longest I would do as like a slow sort of run during the week.
And when you're doing 600 metres, you do it and then have a quick rest and go again, quick rest, go again?
So say like a sample session could be 600, 500, 400, 300, 200 with maybe 4 minutes between them.
Okay.
Yeah, so 5 minutes sounds like a long time, but for some reason when you're tired it disappears a lot quicker.
Yeah, and are you dead at the end of that? Is that the point, is to like try and get to the end of the level of your body now? Is that how this works? Or
it kind of is, yeah. You're training your body into like, you're trying to train your lactate threshold and you're trying to train your respiratory system and you're trying to basically train your muscles to be able to sustain a fast pace for a long time, basically, yeah. So we're building the base.
We were reading recently about London, and I think a lot of people kind of might have forgotten about the fact that you got sick at the World Championships. The norovirus swept through a whole hotel, so it wasn't just the Irish who ended up missing out on it. But you were talking in the middle of that about like getting in an ice bath, and again, it's a kind of that other side of this that we don't really, when you're talking about your
lactate threshold?
Yeah, your lactate threshold.
Fancy words, I like to throw them out there to make myself seem smart.
Didn't want to get that wrong, lactation means something different.
No, I don't do that.
But so you do the ice bath thing in the middle of competition after training sessions, like that's kind of just part of your life.
Yeah.
That's all, those other rrhythms in your life that we
The extra little bits, yeah. Well, I don't take ice baths that often in the winter, but after competition and stuff in particular I would. But yeah, there's all little bits that go on. So like I'm doing rehab every day, so rehabilitation exercises and stuff like that. There's always little bits, and any choice that I'm making every day kind of is based around training and everything, so everything kind of culminates and like revolves around my training life.
Yeah, because every choice you make is a decision not to do something else.
Yeah,
effectively. It's like,
exactly. Yeah. Sometimes I make the right one, sometimes I don't.
Do you still have burgers from time to time?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, 100%.
How does that balance work? That kind of I'm on it now, and I'm going to be at this now, and I'm going to decide that this is my absolute. And it's like, I'm going to have a burger.
Yeah, well, I suppose it's kind of, once it's balanced, I don't mind. Say I wouldn't go out and say have a burger every 3 days or so, but once a week, once every 2 weeks, once every 3 weeks. So if I had like kind of a cheat meal, you call it, it's fine. Once on the whole, my diet is very good. So every now and again, I don't mind having a bit of a break.
When you say it's very good, is it like you've got the electric scales out and it's calorie controlled?
I don't go to that level. No. I have a good idea of the amounts of stuff I should be having and the variation that I should be having and the amount of protein, carbohydrates, and the type of carbohydrates and proteins that I should be taking. So, is
it lots and lots of stuff? Like, are you eating Michael Phelps style?
No, not at all. Not to that kind of not to that kind of scale. Like, I eat an average enough amount, but what I do is I eat quite regularly, like little and often, sort of thing, just to kind of keep grazing.
Yeah.
Does fasting work? It seems to be in vogue in a weird way at the moment.
Fasting?
Yeah, like Cian Healy, for example, has said that fasting for him is working very, very well. Now, that's obviously a completely different type of body type and a completely different type of athlete, but I would have thought it would be the exact opposite.
What's he using it for?
Well, he says it works for him. He's certainly, I wouldn't say slimmed down, but he's certainly become more muscular as opposed to, I don't know, he's just slimmed down basically. Yeah. His body shape is where he wants it to be, and he says he doesn't eat between the hours of 8 o'clock at night and noon the next day. And I'm wondering, how do you get through that morning session?
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that would work for me, personally. But obviously it does work. I know there are other athletes that won't eat carbohydrates after 8 o'clock, or because apparently they don't digest. They were saying that they don't digest as easily after 8. And then there are other athletes that will, like, say, before they've eaten in the morning, will do fasted cardio. So you burn fats rather than the fuel that you've just eaten. if you're fasted. So apparently you can burn more fat that way. So I suppose there is probably method to his madness, but I kind of just carry on with take my breakfast in the morning, I suppose.
You're not obsessed by this then? It's like something that you're just using, you've got that information, you're moving along with it.
Yeah.
What do you get obsessed by?
I don't really get obsessed by much, to be honest. I kind of just take it as it comes, really. And I think in some ways that actually benefits me, and it definitely helps when I'm on the track, because if I was to be completely obsessed with athletics, say if the setback in London could have crushed me, you know.
Yeah.
So I think it definitely helps the fact that I'm not completely absorbed and obsessed with the sport and the life that I'm living.
When you're training, are you obsessed by times even, like splits and that kind of stuff? Or
no, my training partners will tell you it's quite the opposite. I can't remember, my own personal bests, my own times. So I'm kind of saying, I'd always nearly ask my coach afterwards, Hayley, how was that? And she'd say, that was, say, for 300, that was 35. And I'd be like, right, is that good or is it not good? So, my mind is not on that. I kind of go by feel. And I'll put everything that I have into the session, and if I do that, I can't do any more.
Yeah.
So I don't get obsessed by times of training or stuff like that. No.
Does it help that you're still living at home? Because obviously, when it comes to athletics, I think there's this notion that I want to be the best in the world. I have to go to Oregon or somewhere to make that level. But it seems what you're doing in UL seems to be just fine.
It is, yeah. And if it's not broke, I'm not going to fix it. My coaches, Hayley and Drew, are based there, and they have kind of brought me on to the athlete that I am today. So I'm kind of happy to stick with them, because what they're doing is working for me.
Yeah.
And what I'm doing with them is working. And I have a really good setup with my S&C coach and my physio as well. So we've quite a good team at the moment that I'm working with. So I like the fact that it's been consistent the last couple of years, and I'm kind of just building on what I have already for the last couple of years. So I'm just going to keep going as I am for now.
Go on.
There was a Kieran Cunningham piece earlier on this year saying, I know you said you don't get obsessed by much, but would drift racing be as close as you could come to an obsession?
Yeah, it probably is, yeah. That's more of just like an absolute out-and-out adrenaline fix. Yeah.
How does that happen? Was that from watching it as a young kid or what?
I've always been into cars, and I've always been into like motor racing and stuff. And it was a friend of mine that I lived with in college that he's big into cars as well. He's a mechanic. So the two of us went splits on a drift car, and he basically taught me the ins and outs of it, how to work on the car and everything. And from there, it kind of grew from there. Yeah, and it's
what is drift racing?
You don't know what it is?
Well,
okay.
I was watching it on YouTube earlier. It's great.
Is it? Were you?
It's the one where there's no brakes, right?
There is brakes, but you're basically power sliding the car. So you're purposely going sideways.
Yeah.
If you think of the movie Tokyo Drift, Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, where you're basically purposely keeping the car sideways and trying to keep it sideways for as long as you can around the track. You're sliding it in through corners, and you're trying to basically hit, in competition, you're looking to hit clipping points with the tail or the nose of the car being on the apex or the outside of the bend.
You're trying to knock other people out.
No, you don't try to knock each other out. It's all on style. It's all style points. It's all judged, kind of like gymnastics.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not the fastest.
No.
Oh, right. Because I was thinking you could probably just go straight and it would be quicker.
I know, yeah. But no, it's because as soon as you go sideways, you're losing speed.
So where do you do it?
All over the country, there are a couple of different tracks, like in Kildare and Mondello,
right.
Or in Galway. There's another drift event they hold in Tina in County Galway.
And do your coaches think, the amount of time that you're going to be an absolute elite potential medalist at World Championships, maybe you could do this when you're tired?
I think they kind of realise that the whole self-contained, absorbed athletics thing is not entirely for me, and that I do need that. I do need that to keep me mentally kind of ticking over. And like when I'm finished training, I forget about training. I move on from it most of the time. So I do need that other fix, and I think they know that I'm sensible enough at this stage that I'm not going to absolutely wipe myself out.
Yeah, maybe when you finish.
Hopefully.
Take us back to that ice bath and kind of feeling crap after it. You're like, normally you have an ice bath, you get out, you feel grand afterwards, but you're still freezing and you're thinking, this is the middle of the World Championships.
It wasn't right. I knew there was something not right, but then I kind of was putting it down to, after the heats, had my ice bath and still wasn't feeling right about 2 hours later, and I said to my roommate Brian Gregan, he said, I was saying I'm not feeling right after that at all, that race, man. And he's like, no, you'll be fine, it's just, because it was an early start and I'm not really like one for early starts. And I just thought, okay, yeah, you're right, I'll go and get some food and chill out, go to bed, and I'll be fine when I wake up. And as soon as I went to bed, I woke up at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning and started throwing up, and that was it. Then I knew I had caught the virus, because the virus was already doing the rounds of the hotel at that stage, and I was just unlucky to have picked it up. And I had 48 hours in quarantine, and even if I hadn't been in quarantine, I wouldn't have been able to run. I was completely zapped. I was completely wiped out.
What was your form like? What was your own expectation heading into the Worlds?
It was like that last few training sessions that I did with my coach out in London had been on par with Rio, if not better, for the same markers. So we usually look at from hurdle 1 to 5 or one hurdle 1 to 6, and the times were in around, if not they were faster than when I was in Rio. So that my form was quite good. I just was lacking probably a little bit of race practice, race sharpness, but still, I should have been, that race that I ran in the heats wasn't representative, I don't think, of where I was, and I think I always thrive on rounds, so I'll take away from the first round everything I can, and go into the semi then, all guns blazing. I'll have, gotten familiar with the surroundings, with the call room and everything, and I'm starting to get into my rhythm, but yeah.
So that's a bit of a sickener.
For another year.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally a sickener, yeah.
Yeah. Not so much a sickener, you're not making jokes about it now though. Obviously,
no. I parked it very quickly. I got over it very quickly, because there's no point in dwelling on it. Yeah. Because I learned from it. I said, okay, yeah, things are not always going to go my way. These things happen. It's something you always think is going to happen to somebody else, but it was me that time, and I was just unlucky. I kind of took solace as well in the fact that I wasn't the only one.
In fairness, it had this sweep through the building.
Yeah.
Like, obviously there's a regret about it because it was so close to home, and obviously the family had bought tickets and all that. But in terms of regretting, in terms of a competitive thing, do you feel that your best running was at the age of 24? Because it certainly strikes me in most sports that your best is yet to come. Does that maintain for 400 metre hurdles?
400 hurdles in particular, and any of the technical events, I think in particular, there is an older age profile of it. If you look at Felix Sanchez, he won the London. No, when did he win?
Is he the Cuban?
Yes, he was in his 30s and he won either the Worlds or the Olympics. I think it was 2012. He won 2012 and he was in his 30s. And you look at the age profile. Other than Carson Warholm last year, who was a bit of an outlier, it's always an older.
What age is he? 21.
21 or 22. Yeah. So he's a young gun.
Sanchez won in 04 and 12.
There you go. Thank you very much for whoever threw that into your earpiece. I don't have one of those, unfortunately.
You just remembered.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah. Great memory. So I think it's because it's such a technical event, you're constantly learning, constantly getting to grips with the event, which is great because it means that I'm still coming into my prime, and I'm building on my fitness levels and everything else year on year.
The European Championships were obviously this year in Berlin. You said you were maybe a little bit under-raced heading into London. That's what words you might, but that was kind of... So this year, is it a bit different? Are you going to try and get on track a bit more often? Or
Well, what held me back last year was I picked up a hamstring injury midway through the season, and that kind of held me back from racing. But yeah, the hope is always to get maybe 6 or 7 key races in before the championships, so that's going to be the same again this year, and try and build up that race sharpness.
The other thing I think about competing in the World Championships is that it raises your profile again, and it kind of makes it easier to get into the meets that you want to get in. But after finishing 4th in the Olympics, does that still hold? Can you pick and choose where you want to go now?
To a certain extent, yeah, because I've kind of made a name for myself on the stage as one of the 400 metre hurdlers, and because I've been to the likes of the Diamond Leagues a couple of times, they know I'm reliable, they know I'll compete, they know I'm fast when I'm in shape. So that all bodes well for actually getting out there, but it's the same for everybody across the field really, that when it comes to being selected for those events, you still have to post a time early season. So my first race is quite important as to whether I'm going to get selected for those meets or not. So
when's that?
I haven't decided yet.
Okay, right. So is it soon or like a couple of months?
No, it's not until maybe April or May.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll have a couple of indoor meets in the next couple of weeks, in the next 2 or 3 weeks, which will be a bit of fun, but they're nothing more than that.
Yeah.
You've spoken in the past about your treatment of hurdling as kind of an art form, and that's a constantly developing thing in your mind. Like, what does that mean? Like, are you working on things to just improve your stride pattern? Is it as simple as that, or is there more to it?
Always working on to be, because you're naturally going to be a bit stronger with one lead leg than the other. So your lead leg is the leg that goes over the hurdle first, and in 400 metre hurdles, you'll often have to use both. So I'm a lot stronger on my left, but I've been working over the last couple of years on making my right just as good as it. And now, you know, it is getting there. So I can work on that, and then I can work on my stride pattern. Like you said, I can work, there's so many aspects technically, just even on how you clear the hurdle, and then on running technique, and then you break it down into your speed, the starting. You know, my block start is atrocious. I know I need to work on that.
Okay.
So there's so many different elements that you can actually work on and put together.
The way the Olympics worked out for Ireland, with the massive expectations around the boxers, and then that kind of fell flat. You were an absolute superstar for a period of time.
Oh, thank you very much.
But it's true, there was like this massive kind of focus of celebrity, and that drifts after a period of time. Normal life resumes.
Yeah.
Is it normal? Has it?
Yeah, it has gone back, almost back to normal. Not entirely, obviously, but the whole.
A good thing, a bad thing. How do you look on that whole period?
I loved it. I enjoyed every minute of it while it was, you know, while I was still in the spotlight and everything. It was really cool. But I do like being under the radar. I do like, you know, just being able to go out about my training, about my day-to-day life, and just carry on as normal, you know.
Yeah.
So
why? What's the difference?
I don't know. I think there was a lot of expectation, pressure. Everyone was kind of looking, you know, at the Worlds in particular, as being, you know, especially because it was so close to home, and there was a lot of pressure on me. I don't think I'll ever get a championships that close to home, which I feel like was a big loss for me and for a lot of people that travelled out to it. And so I'm now back in that area of having no pressure, really, because there was no performance last year to gauge it off. So I was kind of, I'm out of that heat as such, and that's what I like to do. I like to just train away, do my bit, and then come out and see how the outdoors go. No pressure, you know, not having built myself up or anyone having built me up.
No external stuff, it's just you and the race and the silence of the moment before the gun goes.
Exactly,
Yeah. We were going to show you the Jordan Larmour video. This is Owen's idea.
Yeah. I'm not I'm not sure how well this is going to go, because when we were speaking about
Munster men glorying in the absolute sensation that was Jordan Larmour against Munster, we should explain.
Yeah, I know, it's sickening stuff. But it was interesting before we came on air. You were saying that it's hard for you to judge because you're not a coach, which kind of suggests to me, first of all, that running technique is kind of a talent you're given almost, rather than something that you're trained into.
Oh no, I can be coached, but I'm not a coach. That's the problem.
So basically, you know, Reardon in the Irish Times was writing about Larmour's running technique, and obviously we can see his pace here until one very obvious thing which you can point out in a moment. But he says also his technique is outstanding. But you reckon he's actually not potentially the fastest person on that pitch against
If he was a Munster man, he probably would be the best in the world. But if he's from Leinster, I'm afraid I can't give him that accolade, you know. As I came up with myself entirely, Simon Zebo eventually caught him there at the end of the run, isn't that right? But yeah, like his technique is good. There's no doubt about it. But I don't know, is it flawless kind of as a running technique? Again, it's kind of hard to tell with a ball in his hand. He's kind of throwing his arm around all over the place. But
yeah, that definitely makes a difference. O'Riordan says that his feet touches the ground for the minimum possible amount of time. He's got a pumping knee lift, the shifting of weights towards the upper body, and of course the hips upright and forward. That's what he points out, and he says that from his standing position everything was perfect, and hits a very high speed very early on in the run, which apparently isn't that normal.
I suppose he's powerful then. If he's getting into speed quickly, he's obviously powerful. Look, it's a good technique. You could put him and probably Simon Zebo together, and you could pull the positive and negatives out of both of them. I'm just going to go back to it there. But where's it gone?
That's it.
If we go back,
I'd say if you just click that.
Oh yeah, replay. That would make sense if I press the replay button.
So the kick goes up.
Yeah.
And we've got Jordan Larmour coming back, catches it, and here he goes. Sidesteps one man.
See, it's hard to compare there, you know, where he's hitting the speed early, because in rugby you're down low, your centre of gravity is low. Like it's different technique, I suppose. In athletics, our coach is always telling us, you know, she'll ask, how tall are you, Thomas? And I say, 6 foot. Right, I need you to imagine you're 7 foot tall. So everything has to be up tall, on your toes, you know, and keeping a lean forward and sprinting. So it's completely different in rugby. But he does have a good technique, there's no arguing it. But I personally wouldn't probably pick it out as anything spectacular.
Sure.
Are there any athletes in Ireland who you kind of go, that guy's really fast? Do you ever watch Gaelic football or our rugby lads and go, that guy could have been a runner?
When you look at, I suppose, Simon Zebo there catching him at the end, I suppose you could probably put him down as one. Yeah.
Stand tall and
up tall
and lean forward.
Up tall, lean forward and drive the legs.
Right. Simple.
Yeah, easy. It's easy. And for me, if anyone wants to take up hurdles, it's just run fast, turn left, and jump. That's all it is.
Good stuff.
Simple.
Well, you're doing well. Thanks very much for joining us today.
I have to mention the Irish Life Health School Fitness Challenge.
Yeah.
Of course. That's what I'm here for, as an ambassador. So I was there to present the medals to present the awards for the fittest schools, the boys and the overall school. Sophie Spence was there to provide awards for the best mixed school and best girls' school. So it's a simple initiative run by Irish Life Health, and it's basically over 6 weeks you track the fitness levels of the students. And it's just about getting kids active again, it's too easy to be on the phone.
And they're finding they have remarkable results, like 16% uptick in just 6 weeks. Like you can see how if schools took this on and did it over a whole year, then everybody in the school will be fitter.
Yeah, exactly. That's the hope. I mean, it's a 6-week program, so it's the hope that you make a habit out of it for the students, so that it becomes a habit. Because like for me growing up, I was always on a bike. I was always out kicking a football around, and what got us into exercise was the fun of it. It's just about trying to get kids active, get it into a habit, remind them of how fun it can be, and get them out there. Yeah, so it's a really simple initiative.
Do you realise you've got a role in this as well? Like, I know obviously it's being an ambassador for something, and it's that's kind of really important aspect of being an athlete. But actually having a leadership role in that, as opposed to just doing it because it's something that it's actually something you seek out.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Like, I mean, because of the status that I have, I want to try and use that, obviously, for the better. And if I can connect with, like, even say I gave a small talk to a few of the kids that were there today, and so did Sophie, and if we can connect with 1 or 2 athletes, like I always try and give the message that, I was nothing special when I was younger. I didn't capture the headlines. It wasn't until I was in my late teens, early 20s that I started to progress. You don't have to be a superstar when you're younger. You can just enjoy it. Find something that you enjoy, and if it's you literally just go training because your friends are there, well and good. What harm of it? You're going to be getting your exercise in, and that was for me. That was the social side of things, and that was what I loved. So I try and reiterate that for a lot of kids who might only see sport as being somewhere that they can be if they're a superstar, sort of thing.
Yeah, because participation is far more important.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Thanks very much.
Thanks a million. Cheers, guys.
Hey, hope you enjoyed that latest offering from Off the Ball. If you want to subscribe, and you should, check out just up here. All our latest stuff is just down here. Generally, knock yourself out.